Hey, this is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one's awesome. It's with Tyler Hodge from Hoodoo Brown Barbecue in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Tyler is the sausage king of Connecticut, and I'll put a link below. I had done a piece specifically. I've done two pieces. One 50 photos on Hoodoo Brown Barbecue. I'll put a link to that, but also a piece like 40 or 50 different sausages that Tyler has created, and he is a savant. He's creating crazy stuff and amazing ideas and combinations. So I knew I needed to talk to him, and he's just a great guy. First off, he's just a great guy. You're going to enjoy the conversation. If you're interested in making sausage or just interested in sausage in general, there's a lot of detail that goes into it, and there's a lot of detail that he talks about and his process. And his process is different than other guys. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be awesome. He talks all about Hoodoo. He talks all about Cody, and he talks about Chris, and talks about the relationship there and how he came on board at Hoodoo because his path wasn't the straight path to barbecue. So hopefully by the end of this, you get a chance to know Tyler better. And because Hoodoo is on my bucket list for sure, it'll be on your bucket list too, because they're just putting out spectacular food, and he's putting out a different sausage every week, a creative sausage. They have their jalapeno cheddar and then a special, and it's just awesome. So I'll put all their hours below. I'll put their address. He talks about if you fly into New York, how to get there, so that'll be in there. It's a great conversation. I can't thank Tyler enough for taking the time, and I can't wait to visit them personally. But at the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint. Good morning, Tyler. How you doing today?
Great, Kevin. How are you?
Good. With the build up, to it stressful at Hoodoo?
It's not that bad. So it's like pre-order pickups and getting all that stuff situated, but it's pretty easy. Turkey breast, hams, briskets.
Do you guys do prime rib for?
Yeah, we're gonna do half prime ribs or fulls if they really want them, but I feel like most people are gonna want like 5 pound, 6 pound half prime ribs instead. So that'll be
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love prime rib in general, and I think it's for the holidays. It feels special.
Yeah, and I mean we do it every Thursday, so I think we got it pretty dialed in. It's just a nice slow smoke, lots of pepper, and then we'll reverse sear it at the end. So basically, they could take them home, reverse sear them in their oven, and they're good to go.
So every Thursday, yeah, we'll go over Hoodoo's menu because it's different. It's
Yeah.
Central Texas style with its own twist, and every Thursday, do you know the specials? Like this is gonna jump all over the place for people, but so
Yeah.
Thursday it's prime rib day.
Yeah, that's one of the standing specials. We don't do as the other specials as much as anymore. We used to
Okay.
do baby back Wednesdays, but yeah, prime rib Thursday is a tried and true staple. It doesn't ever leave.
Does it sell out pretty
It's
quick?
great. It depends. I mean, yes and no. Sometimes we get a six top that'll come in and take 6 pounds right off the rip. So who knows?
And it's weighed out by the pound. Is that
Yeah, yeah.
ah
We'll do a 1 pound cut. 1 pound cut, a choice of side and a side salad. Good deal.
that's awesome. No, it's cool too because I think the first time I had prime rib at a barbecue place was a Rudy's, I think. And
Huh?
I was a shock. I was a shock because I come from Los Angeles, and having like prime rib available by the it was like earth shattering, even though Rudy's isn't the pinnacle, it's still probably better than a lot of places that people have across the United States. So it's changed a lot. Barbecue's changed a lot. Well, I want to get to your background. Did you grow up in grew up in the New England area, right?
Yeah, born and raised in Connecticut.
Oh, in Connecticut.
Yeah, I grew up in Danbury, which is like a town over from Ridgefield. Moved out, then moved back down for college. Went to college in Danbury, and then lo and behold, back in Ridgefield. So,
What is Connecticut like?
super small town or super small state, pretty quiet. I mean, it's got a lot of pizza. That's what we're known for. I feel like everyone knows New Haven
That's true.
style pizza. But other than that, I mean, basically, if everybody knows Texas, it's there's the giant meme that goes around that Houston is the size of Connecticut. It's crazy.
That is wild, and it is. But Connecticut is bigger than Rhode Island, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I mean, you could drive through Rhode Island in less than an hour.
Wow, that's cool. Like I did a long time. I went cross country when I was 19 with a couple friends, and we blasted through New England, unfortunately, but because we were trying to make it to Maine because it felt like such a big deal to make it to Maine from Los Angeles. But that's so. Where is it situated on the map for people? Because like we had talked off camera, a lot of people
Yeah.
don't know where Connecticut even is.
Yeah. So if you're thinking like northeast, you have Maine on the top, and then you're coming down. You could go through Massachusetts. Technically, you can go through New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and then Rhode Island, then Connecticut. So,
Okay.
like if you're going down 95,
And then south of you is
New York,
New
yeah.
York.
So, yeah, I'm a 45-hour train ride from the city. I can get to Times Square in about an hour.
Wow. Because like Texas, a lot of people that listen to this or watch these are in Texas, like it's so vast
Yeah,
and then getting from place to place. And then California is it's massive. It's you don't realize how big it is until you start driving through it. You're like, oh my God. But it
true.
seems like it's kind of cool that so I just want to get it in. So if someone comes to New York to visit, it's an hour train ride?
About an hour. A little. I mean, so the easiest place to get to the restaurant would be to go through Brewster,
Okay.
which is a little bit more than an hour, but yeah, it's like an hour, a little bit more than an hour, and then a 15-minute Uber, and you're there.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. So I'll
Yeah,
put links to that kind of guide, or maybe later on off you can just tell me that again so that I'll listen to it when I
sure.
edit this. But that'll be cool
Yeah,
because I want people to know because I know that people when they visited New York, different people have come to visit you guys. I think like I remember Bird or I'd seen like Evan Leroy or some and so when
yeah.
I was just wondering how close it was, and that's not bad at all. That's super dealable. That's cool. So
That's the
so
best.
go
That's
on.
the best way. If anybody comes in, it's like it to go through New York. Like if they come to New York City and they want to try a destination barbecue, that's the way to do it. Yeah, we get a lot of people that come in from the city because they're like it's easier to come out drive the same amount of distance because like the anti-commute and then find parking is easier than like going into the city to find barbecue.
Yeah. And also to would is there a place to fly in? I guess would you fly into New Haven? Is that where
Yeah, you could fly into New Haven or Westchester. Those are the
yeah.
two small airports, but
And that would be a nice vacation. That would be fun to be in that
yeah,
area and hang out and to go come by Hoodoo 3 times and then go to other
yeah.
places. Go to different
You fly into New Haven, you get pizza in the afternoon, and then you come get dinner at Hoodoo, and then you're good to go.
that's perfect. And you guys are open. I usually do this at the end, but you guys are open Tuesday through Sunday, right?
Yeah, Tuesday through Sunday, lunch Tuesday or lunch only Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But it's set so it's 4 to 9 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right?
Yeah,
Is that
and
something
then
like that? I
four
remember.
to
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the
It's
last
it's
time I
like
like
it's yeah, it's funny hours. It's like 4 to 9, and then like 11 to 10 on the weekends.
so what was your path? Like, what did you think that you would do? Did you think you would be in food?
I mean, if you ask my mom, the answer is yeah. She's always said that I should go into food. That's like my thing. Like, I mean, I always loved service. I worked at Starbucks for the longest time and I loved it. I just love making people happy. Coffee is one of my loves too. So, like, it's an easy way in. Who would have thought that I was making sausage? Not me.
But now that you're doing it and the way that you present it and the work that you do, it makes all the sense. But it probably, yeah, talking to yourself 10 years ago, you would never would have thought that.
No, I mean, accounting's my background. I like numbers. I've always enjoyed numbers. I enjoy money, like making sure that all that stuff balances out. So like it all relates to the restaurant business and it's all like because I that's the other thing I had to explain to my mom because my mom was like, you should have just went into food from the beginning. And I'm like, hey, if you think about it, I got the business side already done. Like that's the
Mhm.
hardest thing that everyone struggles to
Oh,
learn
yeah.
is all of the business side. So like I've already learned all that. So it's cool.
Yeah. That's so then do you think then someday do you think you plan on having your own restaurant? Or is that something you talk about?
I don't know. It's like a weird thing. It's like you sit there and like if you think of the natural progression of most pit masters and they learn under somebody and then they do their own thing, but like you have a special handful of people that I feel like I'm part of that's like very comfortable and like being able to be creative. Cody lets me be creative in any way that I want and it works.
Yeah. And there are groups that stay together forever,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like not forever, forever is a very long time, but
Yeah.
but there are groups that say to stick together. And can you talk about Cody and then also talk a little bit about Chris?
Sure, yeah. I mean, Cody's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. I mean, when he's the real reason why I'm in barbecue, to be honest. I mean, we used to go to his restaurant once a week. my girlfriend and myself. And then he would be like, "Dude, I see you always cooking at home, doing your own thing." He's like, "You're always working at Starbucks on the weekends, and then going home and cooking barbecue, or like going home and cooking." He's like, "Or coming here and eating barbecue. Why don't you cook barbecue?" So like, I went home, bought a Weber Smoky Mountain that week, and then like, if I wasn't at the restaurant, I was home cooking barbecue instead of cooking like actual food, like
Oh
just
wow.
pretending to like try and cook ribs and pretending to try and cook pork butts and do all that kind of stuff.
So you weren't even considering it. It was just something he was talking to you
Nah.
about. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I enjoyed barbecue. I always enjoyed it. I mean, we went to Texas for my girlfriend's cousin's wedding, and like, I'd eaten at Hoodoo before that, and then like ate at a bunch of places in Texas, and I was like, Hoodoo on a good day is just as good as any of these places in Texas. So I was like, huh, okay. So we just used to like, we've always been foodies, so we just go to like tried and true places that never like disappointed, and Hoodoo just happened to be one of those. And then like, it's also for me, oh, if I'm going to spend my money on any sort of food, it's got to be like worth it. Like,
Yeah.
so if you think about it, like, I like specialty pastas. Like, I'm not going to spend the time and dedication to make specialty pastas like
Yeah.
at home. Like,
It's a cheap
it's not
thing.
as fun, but like making chicken parm, I can do that in an hour. So I'm not going to go to a place and get chicken parm. But this is the same thing as barbecue. Like, yeah, it's a little expensive, but it's also all the time that goes into it
Hmm.
that I don't want to spend if I'm going to do it. So I'd rather go to a place, buy the barbecue, and then just enjoy it. So like, that's the way we always used to spend our money. And yeah, Cody got me into it. He's just like, dude, you should try it. I was like, all right. So
Right.
I used it as an excuse to drink beer. And funny enough, like, that's what he always tells, that that's how he got started. He needed an excuse to drink beer. So
I think a lot of people that is a good excuse. And then with Chris, so you met Chris in your visits there, or did you meet him when you started working
yeah,
there?
yeah, through the restaurant actually. So he was the one. So they used to do this event at a brewery called Half Full. It was a annual pig roast, and it was from Stanford, and that's where we were at. That's where we were living. So we used to go to that event all the time. And one year they were like a little behind, and Cody was just like, "Hey, you want to help us with this pig, like chopping the pig?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I went and helped pull the pig and chop the pig and get everything ready for service. And like, I just want to make sure that all the other people got fed. So like, I was like, "Chris, I can help you if you need to." And then after that, he was just like, "All right, what does it take you to leave Starbucks to come work for us?"
That's awesome. So you
So
just gelled. It worked,
yeah.
and it seems like the three of you guys are a great crew. And I know that there's a couple other people that are part of your tight knit group, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a core, like we call it like the core five-ish. There's my two pick guys, Ryan and Mike, and then my brother just recently came on too. So he's been like a mixed bag of tricks. He's learned the pit. He's helped me with the sausage, and then like he works front of the house too. So
Wow, that's cool. What's his name?
Alan,
Alan. I figured, what give everybody a shout out. Like if you have the
yeah,
opportunity to, it's
yeah.
cool. Okay, so that's cool. And then yeah, I know I'm gonna forget. How did the like the flight suits, or is that what they are? Like they're almost like flight suits. They're cool. Like it's a
So
that's
yeah, so it's my running joke that I call them super suits because it's like from The Incredibles. Honey, where's my super suit?
yeah, yeah.
But it's a thing that so Chris always likes to do when we do events. Always likes to pull out some kind of like all matching attire. In like one food and wine fest, he bought a whole bunch of these the mechanic suits and had
Mechanic,
them
that's what
like,
it is, yes.
yeah, he had them like all these mechanic suits like embroidered and all that kind of stuff, and nobody liked them. And I put one on and I was like, I don't know if I really like this, but like, normally my clothes used to get destroyed. I'd end up on black, like the black marks on my shoulders from reaching in and grabbing briskets, and like my clothes used to get so dirty and greasy. Well, I started wearing those, and it would save my clothes instantly. Also, my car, like anytime I'd walk into my car, it would just instantly smell like smoke. Well, I could take off my super suits, throw them in a bag in my trunk. My car never smells like smoke. It's great.
That's awesome.
So
That's so smart.
I've just never left. I've just invested in more and more and more, and now it's become my daily attire.
And you know what's funny is it really suits you. It looks badass.
Yeah.
It's different. It's so okay, cool. So that's how it turned out. But does anybody else wear them? Or I think I saw a picture of like Five you guys one
Y-
time in, or three you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we all have some, but it's like it's a running joke of like if somebody wears one, they're like, "Oh, you're dressed up as Tyler today." So
I see. Okay. And then obviously I want to get to how like your little path, your path within Hoodoo, but the Sausage King of Connecticut, that's obviously a reference to Ferris Bueller, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Chris came up with that. Chris is the big ideas guy. He'll think of something and he'll just let it flow and it goes. But he was doing a video of like one of the sausages that like just on the smoker because like uh we had like a bunch of the cheese like would drip and then like coagulate. So like he would just make a video and he just went boom, Sausage King of Connecticut, and then it just kind of stuck. I was just like, yep, we're gonna run with it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it so much. And I love I love that scene in Ferris Bueller. And then I think last night I was Googling and I saw that you guys kind of did a play off of that scene. And it's such, and I forgot the part where you said is it snooty and snotty or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very ad lib scene, or parts of that scene was maybe ad lib, but that's okay. That's cool. Then it makes sense because what you're putting out, and I'll put a link below. I did a piece with, I think, I don't know, 40, 50 of your sausage, and it's spectacular. And I was able to, and what's nice is there's a lot of sausage makers that don't necessarily put what they made. They'll put like, or they put some ingredients, but they don't, but you actually you put the names of each one, and it's really interesting. I'll put a link below, and we'll at the very end of this video kind of go over those things. But how did you, so when you first started, were you just helping out all over the place, kind of doing
Yeah,
everything?
I mean, yeah, when I first started at Hoodoo, I was still doing my accounting job and still doing Starbucks at the same time. So like I would just help with caterings and like help in the pits whenever they needed help, covering here, covering there. So I used to do that. I actually cooked a lot of pigs when I first started. Then like as time progressed, they needed me more during overnight, so I would do a couple overnights here and there. And then, like with the whole COVID situation, my accounting job went to work from home. So then instead of work from home, it became work from Hoodoo. So I would sit in the dining room, do like the rib cook and help out there as much as possible. And then, yeah, it just became a downfall of more responsibilities.
So with pig, do you guys do the
Yeah, we do the whole
whole
hogs.
hog?
We would cook them on BQs. Yeah, that's more of like a catering special, but like in the summers they pop off in Connecticut. It's crazy. Everybody wants to do some kind of cool event, and it's like a showstopper because you get a dinner and a show.
Like you guys bring the BQ to the event?
Oh yeah, we'll bring the BQ. We'll crisp up the skin at the event. We'll chop it all up right in
Yeah, which
front of
is
everybody and then serve it. That's what everybody looks for. It's like because we don't bring our smokers because most of two of our smokers are on skids, so it's like we can't really bring them to an event. But the BQ we can bring. It smokes out. We'll do all that stuff. It's cool.
so then can they get whole hog during the week at your restaurant, or is that just
Every once in a while, we'll do them for like a special occasion, like if we're
okay?
raising money for hogs for a cause or something like that, or like somebody really asks.
Mhm.
But it,
So then,
they,
so is there
it's just
crackling on the menu then, or is that
no. So we
okay?
do crispy skin pork belly, so that's like a Cody thing when
Okay.
they first started. Yeah, so it's you can always get crackling skin if you want it, but it just comes crispy skin pork belly.
Which is
So
delicious.
oh, it's very unique.
It's very unique, and it's something that people haven't had. So that's something. And also, it looks cool when you see pictures of it. You're like, what is that? Like for most people that don't
Yeah.
know. And then, okay, so that's the option there. But then when you do for catering, so that's something that they can contact the restaurant for that information. For the there's not
Yep.
there's not a set price or something, right? It's
No, there's a catering email. You can shoot the
yeah,
catering
yeah.
email a question.
That's cool. That's super cool. So then how did the sausage stuff? How did that? Were you guys making only a couple sausages at a time, or was there someone?
No, when we first started, we were just buying sausage from a company, and then Cody was just like, we want to try and like they were not utilizing a lot of their scraps, and Cody was just like, yeah, let's try and figure it out. And I've made sausage before, like I had taken a class from a butcher shop,
Oh, you
like on
did.
how to make sausage. Yeah, and like I had grew up, and one of my friends had made sausage, so like I had learned from like his grandma how to do it on like a side butcher, like on a side table with a little hand grinder.
Oh, that's rad. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I knew how to make sausage, but like not using like an actual grinder. And we had a buffalo chopper as our grinder because Jordan Jackson, that was the way that he taught Cody how to do it. So it was a learning curve for a little while on how to play with it.
Okay.
But
Can you explain what that
yeah.
is?
Yeah, so buffalo chopper is basically like a giant food processor is the best way to explain it. Like most people that have buffalo choppers, they're making like egg salad or something like that. But instead of the food processor blades, they spin this way instead of spinning this
Huh.
way.
Okay.
So because they spin this way, the bowl also spins. It leads to a very unique texture.
Okay.
Which is one of the things that I kind of look for. You could still get it in a regular grinder, but it's like more work versus this one. It's like there's also a lot more room for error, I've come to find out, because like if you don't take the meat out at the right time, it's gonna over emulsify. And if you take it out too early, it's way too chunky, but it's a weird chunk. It's not super andouille chunky. It's weird. It's a
So do
different
you guys
texture.
use that today to this day? You use the buffalo
Yeah.
chopper? Okay.
Yeah, we've never changed. Same equipment that they had is what we've used.
And people who might not know Jordan Jackson, he used to work at Bodacious, and then
Yeah,
now I think he's at Franklin, right?
yeah, he's
Yeah,
still
yeah,
at Franklin.
yeah. He's
But
an awesome, and what a great guy too. He's a wealth of information. He's always been really super kind to this guy in Los Angeles, and I'm sure to everyone. Like anytime anybody wanted to learn about sausage, I would say call Jordan, contact Jordan somehow. Yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
so the
funny. I missed the lesson. Like I wasn't there when they taught them when Jordan taught them how to make sausage. So I was kind of like in the dark. But I got to like I would reach out to Brian because Brian was still making the sausage for them at the time. And I was just like, Brian, all right, talk to me about this buffalo chopper. Like have you ever had this happen? He's like, yeah, of course. He goes, you just need to sharpen the blades a little bit more and
oh
stuff like
wow,
that.
that's
Yeah.
Brian Bingham for people that don't know.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
from Sunburn. That's okay. That's interesting. And I wonder, does so is buffalo chopper, is that something that a lot of people in the sausage game use or no?
To be honest, I don't think so. I Outside of Brian and Jordan, I don't know many people that have used them. Like
Interesting,
I
huh?
know I know the Blue Oak boys, they bought one because Jordan told them to buy one too.
Okay.
And they had asked me to come down and help them with it, but I don't I don't know of anybody else that uses it. I know it's real big for charcuterie, like making
That
like
makes sense.
salami and stuff. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like if you ever watch some of like the Olympia Provision stuff on YouTube, they
Hmm.
basically use a giant buffalo chopper, but it's like huge. It's
Okay.
industrial.
Yeah, no, I took a tour of Olympia Provisions a while about
Yeah.
like 5 years ago, and I think I remember seeing it. Okay, that's what it was called. I had no idea what it was called. It's massive, and
Yeah.
wow. Okay, cool. So then, but then how did you get into the more of the creative side of sausage? Was that like the last 2 years
Well,
during COVID?
e yeah, I mean, so me and one of the other pit guys that's not there anymore, we worked through a recipe for Cody that he wanted. Like we made sausage a bunch of times, so Cody was happy with it. And then the other guy left, and it fell onto my shoulders of just producing jalapeno cheddar. That was the goal, just
Mhm.
produce jalapeno cheddar. So we had got to jalapeno cheddar to where he was happy with it. And then I was like, cool, let's work on our provolone parsley sausage. And then I worked on that for a while. And we created that one. And then he's just like, all right, you could do some cool stuff. So like I would just like do like random ones just here and there. Like I started with like a bacon, egg, and cheese that they did at the meat hook and like stuff that we had saw on YouTube and just like played around with stuff. And then basically I was creating a special one almost every week, every 2 weeks at the time, along with the provolone parsley. And then we were just like, all right, cool. So the special ones are selling pretty well. Let's do a special every single like a special and the jalapeno cheese. So basically, for the last year or so, I've done a special every single week, different, and I've never repeated a special unless somebody really, really asked me to, and then that's it.
So
A
that's why you
special
have
every
so
week,
that's why you have so
jalapeno
many
cheese.
unique ones is because
Yeah, I don't like to repeat them. It's not as fun. Like I like to just constantly be changing. Like if somebody comes and says, "Yo, I missed this one. It was and like it looked really cool." If enough people ask me about it, I'll redo it. But like very often, I'll change them every single time.
Do you have a favorite or a couple favorites amongst that group that you're like, God, I'd love to make again? Like, or is that like, I don't know, I hate to say like it's not like you're
No,
like
this
kids, but
this is what everybody asks me. Everyone's like, "Okay, what's the best sausage you've ever done?" And I'm like, I don't know. It's
the
like
next
it's
one.
all it's all personal preference. Like I mean, the I did a Chipotle bowl boudin and like that those flavors just hit home to me. But like, is that the best one I've ever made? Probably not. I mean, I did the broccoli, I did a broccoli rabe,
Yeah.
like a Philly sandwich. So I did roast pork, broccoli rabe, and some sharp provolone. And like that's probably one of my favorites, but it's all just all personal preference on flavor profiles.
Yeah. What do you look for personally in a good sausage for yourself? Like, or one that you really like, or even outside of Hoodoo?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very picky. There's certain things that I look for. I like a tighter texture. I don't like them to be super loose. I also don't like them to be, I like them to be a little firmer, not as soft. So I don't use any liquid when I make sausage. That's like what differentiates me from a lot of people. And I feel like there's a lot of natural liquid that comes out in a lot of the ingredients. So it softens it up enough. It's not like eating really firm meat. It balances everything out. So I look for that. I look for a good balance of salt and sweet. So it's not like super sweet, but like it's just enough to balance everything out.
So it's
And
that sweet that how everyone says like they add the acid with the sweet like that's to make sure that you have the balance.
yeah, I
Balance is
mean,
key in everything.
yeah, because you can't really add acid to sausage. It'll like eat at the protein bind. So balancing it out with a little bit of sugar is a thing that I do to a lot of my sausages too.
Have you had any, because you're making them a new one every week, have you had ones that are huge fails or have ones that
You,
because you know the process now or you know if it would get screwed up.
I talked to Lane from Goldie's about this a couple of times, and he's just like, we're kind of in the same thing. As long as the salt content's right, we're usually like never gonna fail that hard. Like, are they ever perfect off the first try?
Mm.
Rarely. I always write down notes on like, okay, this is if I ever to make this one again, I would change this, this, and this. So like there's ones that are I wish I could always change and add a couple things. Like I just made a Waffle House link that somebody else makes, and I thought I put enough potatoes in it, and I was like, this ratio seems right based on what I normally do. And then talking to Brian of Secret Pint, he was just like, yeah, I've never weighed the amount of potatoes. And I was just like, yeah, you need to weigh them because this is way, I thought this was perfect and you use way more.
Okay, so
But
that's oh, so he the one that had made it before?
yeah, he makes it, and I thought it was great. I thought the flavor was amazing, and like the potato studded throughout was awesome. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna recreate this. And I did what I thought was the right amount of potatoes, and nowhere close.
And was it potato like the hash? Was it because I saw in the video or like the little
Yeah,
montage, it was so you use hash browns.
yeah. So he uses Waffle House hash browns. He goes to Waffle House. Well, in Connecticut, we don't have Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly.
So and I also like to make everything from scratch. That's one of the things that like differentiates me too, is everything for everything is always either made from a friend that makes it from scratch or it's made from scratch
Okay.
by me. So
Yeah, well, and also the thought for a lot of people, potatoes in a sausage isn't a normal thing. A lot of people don't have potatoes in a sausage. So, and that was that good for binding, or was it good for just having
yeah,
it studded to? God, that's so interesting.
I mean it definitely the potato starch would definitely help with binding agents. I mean that's like a thing that a lot of people use. When I was doing some research on some fish sausage,
Yeah,
people I
I
saw
wanted to talk about that.
a lot of people use potato starch. I saw that in a lot of the stuff. What is that? People use potato starch.
And
So
it seemed like Chris was a big fan of the fish sausage, right?
no, Chris, you can ask Bert about this. Next time you see Bert, ask him about Chris with his shrimp story.
Okay, all right. If anybody's
Yeah,
listening and they run into Bert, ask him about the shrimp story. Okay, Mike. But
yeah,
it's also too, I think, and I had read something like it's sometimes it's hard to get it out of your mind when you know something is in something. Like if someone says liver's in this, or I just kind of like you just know, even if it doesn't even taste like that, or even like I didn't know for the longest time that anchovies were in Worcester is a Worcestershire sauce. I didn't know that anchovies were in them. And my brother didn't know. We just put it on everything. My brother hates fish like so much. And so, but now I could just tell that it's like the saltiness. It got, that's where it's come to, and anchovies are on so many different things. But it's interesting that I had no
yeah.
idea. Yeah. But once it's in your head, it's like, I'm drinking anchovy sauce.
Yeah, like I mean, when I make boudin, certain boudins, I'll put a chicken livers in it, and I won't tell people. Like you said before, I list every ingredient, and I won't tell the people that are eating it at first. I will be like, yeah, there's no livers, but of course there's livers. It has to.
That's to me.
You
Yes.
have to have liver.
Uh-huh. You definitely. And then I wanted to, this is going to go over the place, but I don't want to forget. You on a post, you talked about the process for making sausage, and then it's a 4 day. It's 4 days in total. Can you kind of go over that so people know? Because a lot of people go places and they have sausage and it's wonderful, and they might not realize really what goes into it. Can you just do a quick little overview of what goes into making craft sausage?
Yeah, so I mean, everybody's a little bit different. Everyone's got their own style of process, but for
Yeah.
me, we have our own trimmer. I don't trim any of our meats that I cook. So he does all of our trimming, but he just takes all of the trim, puts it into buckets for me. So it starts with me going through said trim buckets and
Okay.
trimming to exactly my specification of what I want to use for sausage and what I want to use for something else, whether it's tallow or grind, whatever it is. So it starts with that. And then for me, I then weigh everything out and I freeze all of my buckets of sausage trim. Uh, and then I'll pull those out and then I'll grind them and or season and grind them, and then I have to turn around and mix them and then stuff them. So that's usually a second day or a third day. And then they usually cure for, I like to let them cure for 24 to 48 hours. I probably go for a little bit longer of a cure than most people do. A lot of people just do 12 hours overnight and then cook the next day. But for me, I like to do 24 to 48 ish and then cold smoke. And then I like to let them rest overnight again and then serve them the following day.
So
So
can
it's
you,
like a 4 day process.
yeah, that's 4 days. And you said the 18 hours in total if you add up all the hours themselves,
Yeah,
right?
if you were to do just hours for me to make one batch of sausage for me for 20 a 25-pound batch, which is like my size batch, yeah, it would take me probably about 2 hours to trim and weigh everything out and then go through everything else. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
It's probably close to 18 in total.
So that's a labor of love,
Very much so.
truly. And then can
Yeah.
you explain what cold smoke is?
Yeah, so for me, my cold smoke, I like to cook around 150 degrees. For me, we use either a Lang 108 or our 1,000 gallon Moberg. I kind of go back and forth on which one I want or which one I'm going to use. More often than not, I actually prefer to cook them on the Lang because they have like the heated plate on the bottom, so it gets hot and it cooks from both sides a little bit more evenly than the Moberg. But the color on the Moberg when you make sausages is just insane.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's like for each one I kind of play with it, but it's 150 degrees for about 4 to 5 hours till they reach 145 to 150 internal.
And then do you pull them, put them in the walk-in, and then or do you, how do you, is that how you do
Yeah,
it?
so I leave them on the grates and spray them with room temperature water until they kind of cool down. Then I'll wipe them down, put them in a bus tub, and then put them in the walk-in uncovered overnight, then cover it back up the next day, and then we'll reheat them the next day.
Do you reheat them in the smoker or do you reheat them
Yeah,
in the, okay.
yeah, we'll reheat them in the smoker. I mean, the double smoke on the sausages helps with the flavor and the casings, but you could do them in an oven if you're in a pinch.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the best way. So like if I know people are gonna reheat sausages like to go home, I'll just be like, I'll give them to you cold, throw them in your oven, you'll be good.
At what temperature in the oven? To 225 or?
Hey, I mean, if you want to go 350 for like 10 minutes, you're
That's
good.
fine. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, yeah. I always wondered that too with reheating stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it's brisket or something else, you don't want to heat it up that hot. But the sausage, the casings can take the extra crispness
Yeah, that would be
and
good. Okay.
just snap extra hard. Yeah.
So then are you guys by Sunday, have you sold out of your special usually, or do you have the special generally, or?
So I try to be 3 weeks ahead at all times of special sausages. And I'll try to do smaller batches for like stuff that I know will sell on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, which are like the weekdays, which are a little tend to be a little slower. So I try to do special stuff that's like not as out there, kind of more
Mhm.
approachable. But it depends. Usually, I try to do the new specials every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is a little busier, and usually by Sunday they're gone,
Mhm.
and then we'll go to the next one.
But so if some, but I'm just thinking if someone came on a Sunday, there's a chance they might not be able to get one of your specials that they saw on Instagram.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a very good possibility on a Sunday that if
Yeah,
they show up, they're not going to get the one that I posted Friday or Saturday.
yeah, yeah. Because people are interested in that. Has that become a thing for people to come and get
Oh,
interesting
oh
sausage?
yeah, yeah. We get a lot of phone calls where people will call and be like, "Okay, what's the special sausage of the day?"
You're like, go in, you could have said, just gone on the internet. You could have seen it,
Yeah.
but
Hey.
that's cool. Okay, and I'll put a link to your because I think that you on your personal page is where you show all the new ones, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, I try to take a picture every single time and do it. I didn't for a while. I wasn't really like hard on it, but then I was just like, you know what? Why not? I'll just
Yeah.
do it. And give the whole like ingredient list, like it's like the back of a food nutrition label, and we're good to go.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. And I'll put a link below to again to that blog piece that I did with all your sausages, which is cool. And I'm going to keep updating that because I just think it's nice too because maybe you can go back and look at it or whomever, just so that way. And then people also I'm trying to do it so that people get an idea of what people are doing creatively outside of their area or outside, so that way, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious and they could just look at your Instagram
Yeah,
feed, but these are just bigger pictures. But
yeah. Hey.
what is are there any is there anybody in the sausage world that you are a fan of or that you look up to or are mentor other than Brian and Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a bunch of people. There's a whole bunch of people doing great sausage out there. I mean, there's a real tight group of us boys. There's Cooper from Barbeque. I mean, there's the Grasslands whole crew and Drew, and then Brian from Secret Pint. Those are like the three that like I feel like are really tight, and they're all if you know anything, they all basically spin off of Lane, but Lane and all of them boys. But
And Lane's
yeah,
a
I mean,
savant.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're all guys that I respect the crap out of in the industry. But I mean, there's just people outside of even just barbecue. Most butcher shops are making really cool sausages now too. So
Have you seen
it's
that
just
girl? Is that girl still making that with all those colorful sausages? What's
yeah, the modern the people from a modern butcher shop. Yeah,
Mhm.
their stuff in Massachusetts is insane. They go out. She goes all out every single time for everything. I mean, her stuff's great.
Yeah, yeah. No, it looks beautiful. I've always like I think I've written her a couple times like I want to talk to you and also what can I order some stuff to be shipped out? Because it's just yeah, there's certain people that you just know they take a lot of pride in what they're doing and it's a challenge. It's like a creative challenge. And it seems like for you, that's another reason why I want to talk to you is just because it seems like you're really enjoying it and it seems like you're pushing the envelope and I'm sure that you see, like you've mentioned in this interview, you've seen what other people do, and then you try to put your spin on it. But then also too, you're doing things that I've never seen. Could we go over a few of the ones that let's see, like it's well, the Kung Pao chicken sausage. That's like, did you see that from somebody else?
No, I most of the sausages that I do, I usually don't see. I try to like not look at what everybody else is doing and just kind of do my own
Mhm.
thing. But I don't remember. I remember. So one of my friends, she had went to New York City, went to China, like the whole China markets. She brought me all of these home all of these Chinese peppers, like hot peppers, and I
Oh,
was like,
cool.
okay, cool. What could I make with that? And I was just like, okay, Kung Pao chicken. I was like, I think that was one of the first chicken sausages I had ever done too. So I was like trying to figure it out. That's
How'd
like
that
the
turn out?
again. It was good.
Yeah.
I mean, we do chicken breasts for a lot of our sandwiches at the restaurant. We do like a fried chicken sandwich, and then we do like chicken breasts for salads.
Mhm.
So like we always trim them, so we have all the extra fat from all of the chicken breasts. So I added a whole bunch of extra chicken fat to it, so it's
Oh, that's
a
smart.
chicken sausage. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
just I try to utilize as much waste as possible. So like that's where a lot of my other cool sausages come from. It's like, okay, we have this in. How do I utilize the rest of it?
That's no, that's super smart, and it also helps with food costs. That's just in general. It's just that's there's so much waste. So you did one with I think with Turning Point Coffee
Yeah,
was it?
so one that's where I used to roast coffee for them for the longest time, and I was trying to figure out some way to add coffee to it. Like I've one of the sausages that I've wanted to do for a while that I just haven't been able to play with yet is I want to do like a coffee cake sausage. I think Bill did something very similar, but like I want to get it studded throughout with like crumbs, like just every link when you're cutting through it, it's like a crumb of coffee cake. But yeah, I did a coffee with lime and some ginger powder, and it was a pork sausage. It was pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool. And then also we had talked off camera about the cereal one, and I had mentioned when I talked to Bill, I had said that I thought it would be kind of cool if people did like plays on cereal sausage, and you did the cinnamon toast crunch. Is that?
Yeah, so again, for me, it was just like, okay, what plays with pork? Like I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, I have pork trim. What's a cool thing that everybody could like that works well? And I'm like, cinnamon works. And then I was like, okay, cool, cinnamon toast crunch. Because I was like, I had saw those little bottles at Walmart of like Cinnadust, and like they
Oh
had
yeah,
Twix
yeah.
dust. They had Twix dust, and that's where I saw that, and I was like, huh, all right, what could we do? And I was like, all right, we're gonna do cinnamon toast crunch.
Wow, and how'd that turn out?
It was good.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, everybody was a little turned off at first, but they were like, yeah, it works.
Turned off simply because it was a cereal in there. Is that why?
Yeah. I
And
I mean, I pulverized it till it was like dust. So
how was the beef stroganoff one?
that one I thought was gonna be way better than it actually ended up being. I wanted a little bit more herbs in it, but other than that, it was great. I mean, egg noodles inside of a sausage, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And do people come back? Like, are you? What's your shift? Are you there when people are trying your stuff?
Yeah, it's funny. That's like the running joke is like when I see a sausage go out, I'll go and like I'll be like, okay, what are they saying about this? Like, do they hate it? Do they like what don't they like about it? Like trying to figure out, always trying to just get better.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's fun. Do people come and talk to you about it?
So yeah, I mean it's hilarious. Like that's I'll get a lot of people like I'm walking through the restaurant and they'll be like, hey, you make all the sausages, right? And I'm like, yeah. And
That's
they're
cool.
like, oh, great one. I had the one today. It was awesome. It's
Then
really nice.
are people coming to work with you guys or stage, or are you guys going to do classes? So you do classes. I know Hoodoo does classes, but do you
Yeah, who
include sausage in that or no?
No, no sausage classes. Hoodoo just we do like brisket ribs and pulled pork. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, but are you gonna? Do you think that is that something in the card someday? Maybe it's.
I mean, maybe. I mean, there's enough places where you can go learn how to make sausage. It's
There's a
just
lot of
like,
people. There's a lot more now than
yeah.
there ever were.
And everybody knows that they could just message me and I'll gladly answer any of the questions that they have.
And that's the best way would be to DM you on Instagram. Are
Yeah.
there any other sausages that you want to talk about? I'm going through like I'm seeing there some really cool. They're just interesting. The burnt end broccoli.
That one, I had it in my head, and I was sitting there, and I was like, okay, I know somebody did this. I was like, I know somebody said something about this, and then all of a sudden, I like posted it, and then all the Leroy and Lewis guys were like, "Yep, we did it," and I was just like, "Dang it, I knew somebody had did it, but I couldn't figure out who did it." But yeah, that was just like trying to utilize a whole bunch of stuff. Like we had a whole bunch of leftover ingredients from when the Blood Brothers came up, and we had done did the
Oh,
brisket fried rice. And so I was like, because when we did brisket fried rice, I was like, okay, I want to do pork fried rice boudin. So I did that one. And then I was like, we still had all of like the stuff, like all of the Maggie and all that kind of stuff. So I made the sauce to do brisket fried rice boudin or brisket burn in. boudin with broccoli. So
Oh, and had that turned out really good.
yeah, I mean, the color of it was unreal. So
Yeah, beautiful. And then also, this is I have to ask about the Clams Casino one.
yeah, so that came from mind is there's a place out that my girlfriend and I used to like to go to a lot. It does big Italian stuff, and they have on their menu like they have like a clam sausage, and I was sitting there and I ate it and I was just like mind blown. I was like, okay, this is really cool. So I was like, how could I do a clam sausage? And do being like growing up, I was like, I used to eat clams casino all the time. So I was like, yep, that's the way.
That's awesome. It's such an interesting. So there's lots of different ones. If people and people can come, obviously the barbecue is amazing, but the sausage is spectacular, and I just want people to know. And then you and your girlfriend love Disney stuff, right?
Yeah, my girlfriend is a Disney junkie to say the least.
Is she? Does she follow all like
Oh yeah.
the bloggers and the
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
because that
She's always sitting on YouTube watching everybody that's running around. That's great.
yeah, like I grew up, my dad actually worked at Disneyland back. He grew up in Orange County and he went to Orange Coast College and then worked at Disneyland at night, like sweeping up. So he saw Walt Disney biking through the park a couple times. This is
Awesome.
before he passed. And he said also there used to be a 7,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Is that was 10,000, excuse me, 10,000 Leagues Under the Sea exhibit, and there was a bed. And so workers would come and they do their job and then they go sleep, I guess, nap in the bed. So, and then also, I guess like Disney was really, and you, I'm sure know this and your girlfriend about like gum. Like he didn't want any gum at all in the park.
None.
Like you couldn't sell it because he didn't want to make sure that, because that was a thing that people, it was always a messy thing, but it was really neat. And then so we ended up going, my parents would get the e-tickets. This is back, I'm dating myself, but they buy tickets and so we can get like for the rides and things, and so we would go to Disneyland a lot and it was very affordable. It's a whole thing. It's become like I can't, like when I see a family of four there, I haven't gone in like 4 or 5 years, but when I'm like, gee, they're dropping a lot of money, especially if they get like
Yeah.
in the double park thing, or I guess like I haven't been to Orlando in a long time, but like they didn't have Animal Kingdom and stuff when but have
No, and like that's where we go to again. We're East Coast people, so East Coast Disney World is our park. I mean,
Mhm.
I used to grow up. I grew up and I went there a bunch, and then my girlfriend, when she was growing up, she went there a bunch, and she just always grew very fond of it. So her choice of vacation is always something Disney. So that's why going to the West Coast for us is always great
Mhm.
because we can fly into LA, do a day in LA, which is kind of like my thing. I like to do places that I've never been and
Mhm.
like center it around food, and she likes to center it around Disney. So the
That's
West
cool.
Coast is like, yeah, we get to go to LA, we'll hit Howlin' Rays and do some other cool food spots, and then drive to Disney. We'll do Disneyland for a couple of days, and then drive to San Diego and do some stuff in San Diego, and then fly home.
That's cool. That's perfect. So who's her favorite? Do you know offhand who her favorite YouTube person is? Because I'd like to. Because I
Ooh, I'd say
does
she
she
probably watches Tim Tracker the most.
Tim Tracker? Okay.
Yeah, we've run into a couple of random ones throughout our trips for sure, and she'll fangirl out on them. It's great.
It's funny too because it's become like I think you can't film on certain rides now. Like it's become like when I watch them now, like I love watching like those behind the scenes things and now, but I'm like thinking, oh, it's so distracting. Like there's everyone's filming, everyone's doing a show, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hey, I mean, it's become a job for them, and it works.
yeah, it works. And it also I think there was people though going back in, like into the cast member areas and stuff, and that became like a whole thing.
Can't ruin the surprise. It's
No,
like it's the whole thing of people don't want to know how the sausage gets made, man.
You don't want to know how a hot dog is made. Exactly. Charcuterie wise, is there a place local that you go to?
Not really.
No.
I mean, there's a new butcher shop that's pretty close that just opened back up, and they're gonna do some cool stuff. There's another place in New Haven that we'll go to that makes a lot of really cool stuff too.
Are there any places that you want to go to try their stuff, like barbecue wise, sausage wise?
I mean, Evie Mays is probably top of my list. Burnt Bean, those are the two barbecue wise that are top on my list. I mean, I just want to go hang out with the Goldies boys too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's those probably my top three. But Burnt Bean, Heavy Maze, Goldies. Those are the top three that I'd probably say.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. And I've been sequestered, and so my list is a little bit longer than yours. But yeah, for what when I see the photos of Burnt Bean, it just looks like otherworldly. And then everything Heavy Maze does, and especially the desserts too on their side, like it's the whole package. Yeah, and Goldies too. Yeah, those guys.
You look at it in and of itself, it's always just like there's like the family trees of who came from where and who learned what from who.
Yeah,
I mean, like everybody gives their own tips and tricks. Like that's why I like cooking at all these cool events. It's like I'm trying to learn like at least two things from every pit master of like what they have and like
that's
what
smart.
they're doing different and like why they're doing what they're doing. So it's just like when we were in Charleston, I was talking to everybody about rib cooks, and like a lot of people cook their rib tips towards the fire instead of bones towards the fire, and like why they do that. It's just like it's the little things.
Yeah, and there's always, and that's also what makes barbecue special. It's just not a
Yeah.
bunch of meat. There's different techniques, different philosophy, different ways of doing things, and why people are doing those things too. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. Is there anything we missed? Hoodoo's Tuesday through Sunday. I'll put the hours and everything below. Tons of parking, right?
No,
I know. I'm just
there's
kidding.
not.
So
There's
what do
not
you
tons
recommend?
of
I was going to
parking.
ask what's the recommendation for parking wise? Is it just
Come
Uber?
early and find parking. Come early and find parking.
Okay.
I
That's your
mean,
recommendation. Okay.
yeah, Fridays are always the toughest day to find parking. I mean, Saturdays you can find parking pretty frequently. If you drive around the lot enough, you can find some stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
parking is the number one complaint. It's usually the food's amazing, but the parking stinks.
Yeah. But that's also like I've worked at places too. Like it's just a lot of places don't have good parking. It's hard.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah.
What are you
You
supposed
can't
to do?
change that.
We're on a main street. We're on a main US. Technically, it's a US highway, I think.
Yeah.
But what are you supposed to do?
There's nothing because and it's
Exactly.
not. Yeah. There's no like valet parking or something. There's nothing. There's no like conceptually. There's nothing that you can do. And so and is Cody and Chris there most nights, most days?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you come in and me, Chris, or Cody aren't there, then it's a rare occasion. Usually, one of us, if not all three of us, there almost the entire time.
Awesome. Well, cool. And then do you have a full bar?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Full bar. Crazy whiskey menu. 8 draft beers at all times. It's great.
Rad, awesome. And then yeah, say hi to both those guys. Have a great one. It was so nice to
Thank you
meet
too.
you. And if I have any questions, I'll shoot you an email.
Sounds good.
All
Talk to
right,
you
take it
soon.
easy. All right, bye.